Hello, everyone. This is Lee Andrews from Akathame. Thanks again for joining me on another Live with Lee. And I have two exquisite guests today that just so happened. I just so happened to meet Vikki on a random networking call, right, Vikki?
Yes.
I don't know how we connected really, but it was through LinkedIn. And both said, let's talk and learn more about what one another does. And come to find out, we had more of a connection than we realized in our industry backgrounds. And also with us today is Jeff Platt. He is the CEO and founder of Kokua Technologies. Did I pronounce that right?
You did. Thank you.
Kokua Technologies. And we're going to talk about how his company got started because I know in our audience we have a large group of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and business leaders and managers inside the technology domain. And Kokua is an outsourced technology service organization. So before we get started in asking the questions, if you are new to Live with Lee and I'm not familiar with Akathame, we are an international talent recruitment, talent acquisition, and talent management firm. If you really want to transform things, we're the company you want to come to. All right, so let's get this going. So our first question, now I need my glasses. So the first part I don't need to see. This part I need to see. All right, so Jeff, the industry that you're in is worth $300 billion. $300 billion industry.
Wow.
And you're this small company that started small, which is not so small anymore. How did you get started? You got started in 2012, is that right?
Well, we changed names in 2012 to Kokua Technologies. The company prior to that, I started in 1989.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I've been doing this for 31 years now. It goes back to, I mean, you know, I don't know how much time we have, but back in high school, I played with computers. You know, they were my toys. And we go back to the days of computers not having hard drives. So the big floppy disks, the RAM chips that had, they look like caterpillars with the flimsy legs on them and everything. Those were my toys. I played with that stuff. In college, when anybody had an issue in the computer lab, I would be the guy that they would come to and I would help them. But I would never talk down to them. I would make it very simple, very easy, and I just wanted to be helpful. So it went from there. In '89, I launched a company called Graphical Interface. That came from when Microsoft was coming out with their GUI, or their graphical user interface. And in our industry, user is a 4-letter word. So my company was named Graphical Interface. We were mostly break fix. And going into 2012, when a lot of other companies were doing full managed services, that's when I changed the name. And Kokua is Hawaiian for help. It is the holistic help. It's the shirt off our back. It's the whatever we can do for you. And it is certainly not limited to just technology.
And so it's interesting that you say that because I see reviews for Kokua on Home Advisors. Is that the same Kokua or is that a different Kokua?
It is. And it's so, wow, that story. A young lady calls me out in the Midwest and she's selling the Home Advisor service. And we hit it off instantly. And I'm very big into energy. So there was just something about her. And we get to talking and she said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. If I don't sell 2 of these by the end of the week, I'm not going to have a job.
Oh boy.
I said, okay. I said, I'm in. So on Home Advisor, I find people that are elderly and in need, or they are service members, armed services that are in need. They don't understand the technology very well. They are at home and they just need help. So while the guys that work with me are doing all the big corporations and the heavy work, I get to go into people's homes and help them with the easy stuff. So it's a blessing. In fact, I have a photograph of a guy who he gave me a picture of himself and his friends on one of the aircraft carriers from World War II. And he stays connected with his friends that are still alive via the computer. So when it doesn't work, his entire world is broken. So it gave me the ability to go into people's homes and just do what I do. I'm just helpful.
That is incredible. Okay, I've not heard a CEO do that. So you're saying that this is what you do in your off time.
It's these are my toys. It's always been a game. I'd like to say that that it's been work, but it's not. I have fun coming to work every day. The crew that are around me appreciate the clients that we do have. We've grown a lot via word of mouth, and people pass us around because they trust us. We're not interested in selling anything. We're just a trusted group. So if it's my game and I really enjoy doing it, it's really not work at all.
So you're fulfilling your passion through livelihood. Very few people get a chance to do that. So it's pretty clear why Vikki decided to support you in marketing efforts. So Vikki, you're an expert in MSP outsourcing, specifically on marketing those capabilities.
Yes.
Why did you choose Kokua to represent?
Why did I choose Kokua? Well, we both chose each other, I like to think. I reached out to Jeff, and I reached out to him in a very fun way. And as Jeff said, he liked my energy. I researched Kokua. I loved what they were doing. And as you pointed out, when we spoke initially, Lee, I was telling you all about his culture. It was super exciting. He works very differently to a lot of other companies. As he would always say, it's not about the price tag. I think one of our introductions was he sent me what was that song? Jessie J song, It's Not About the Price Tag. He said, listen to the lyrics. That's what I'm about. And I thought, okay, this is going to be really interesting and really fun. He makes marketing his company super, super easy. I mean, Jeff built up an amazing organic referral system very early on. And he did that really, as he said, by going into homes and helping people out, all of that good stuff. So the marketing approach I take is really just to keep Jeff top of mind, to offer education to his prospects and clients. And that's really the approach that we're starting with initially.
So you mentioned, Vikki, that a lot of his growth was, and Jeff mentioned this too, that a lot of that growth was organic by word of mouth. How did that start coming about, Jeff? How did word of mouth start happening? And you're in New Jersey, right?
I'm in New Jersey. We have an office in Jersey, an office in Ocala, Florida, and we have hardware installed in 27 states right now. The beginning of it goes to I was on the 6th floor working for one company, and one of the partners of that company went down for a smoke with a guy on the 1st floor who was a law firm. And the attorney started talking about all the problems that he was having, and technology and the computers are garbage and everything. And the guy on the 6th floor said, well, you really should talk to Jeff because we don't have those kind of problems. So I get to do work with one attorney, and the attorneys talk to each other. So they're a great group of people, and the conversations that they have go around how business is going, what kind of trials and tribulations that they're having, and how do they pass information on with their systems, and then the troubles they're having. So anybody that said we're having trouble, somebody would inevitably say, well, we're not. Jeff is our IT guy, and we're not having issues. Way back when, one of the law firms has the domain plaintiff.com. So I became computer guy at plaintiff.com.
That's clever.
And it was one of the neatest things up until the point where I was introduced to the firm of Mayers, Menes and Schur out in Bluebell, PA. And in the middle of sitting down and explaining what I do, one of the partners stood up and said, I'm sorry, this has to end right here. I don't think we can use you. And I said, whoa, what just happened? He said, well, we're a defense firm. And unless you're going to be computer guy at screwtheplaintiff.com, we're not interested. So I wound up doing work for that firm. And over the years, that firm broke off into 3 different firms. And then I wound up doing work for all 3 of them. And then they passed me on to other companies.
So wait a minute. How did you overcome that screwtheplaintiff.com thing? Did you change your .com domain, or how did that work?
We laughed about it. And the bottom line is that all they want is they just want it to work. They want me to explain it to them in, being honest, having integrity, being transparent. They had a situation where when I walked in, once a week there'd be a problem, and their existing IT company would come in, fix the problem, then they'd go away, and about a week later there'd be another problem with somebody else. So when I got in there, initially they said, look, all we want you to do is figure this thing out. We already have an IT company. We really don't need you, but there's this one thing they just can't figure out. So I go in, I have the conversation. I've got a 24 port 3-com switch in my trunk for somebody else. And I said, you know what? I'm pretty sure your issues with the switch. And he said, no, that can't be possible. Ours is brand new. And I said, well, even the brand new ones have issues. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you borrow this switch for 2 weeks. If there are no issues in 2 weeks, I want your business. So I put the switch in, and what winds up being the issue is there's a bad port on their existing switch. And their IT guy would come in, take the user out of that port, put them into a good port, take somebody else, put them into the bad port, and reboot the switch. And in about a week, the bad port would raise its ugly head again, and they would have the issue. And I'm like, that's not okay. And they were being charged every time this guy came out, and that's not okay. So, I've been doing their work now for, 23 years.
Wow.
And like I said, they as a group, they've already separated. So they did the business divorce, and, everybody got me. So it's just, they
got you in the divorce. I love it.
Yeah.
So before I forget, I just want to say hello to Mira. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all those who are joining us as well. Because my segments are not typically, other live broadcasts are 45 minutes to an hour. Mine are 30 minutes, so we get to the heart of things. So, but I did want to thank Mira for joining us. So that's interesting. So I've got 1,001 questions just on what you said. So that company has been with you for 20 some years. So how did you know? I mean, there's something about there's got to be that level of technical know-how, but there is also something intuitive about what you're doing and how you're doing it. So how did you know without going into, unless you did you go back and figure, how did you know it was the switch without doing all the, other stuff that other technicians might do?
When they give you the information and they give it to you cleanly, without their interpretation, then the stuff is rather obvious to me. It's the way my brain works. The guy that stands in front of the refrigerator door, he opens the door, the light's on. But when he closed the door, is the light still on? Well, I got to figure that out. So he was telling me all of the right information very simply. And it just made sense. The only thing that was making sense with something happening, every week was it's got to be something with the connectivity. It's got to be, a faulty device. And where do all the pieces connect? Well, at the switch.
Yeah. So what seems to be intuitive for you, lazy for the original provider, would have most of us who are the end users in a fetal position in a corner, wondering what the heck is going on. You just walked in there and figured, okay, this is all I need. All right. Well, thanks, Jeff. So it's interesting. So Vikki, taking what Jeff just said, what is the number one draw what is the number one thing that you use to attract new customers? And I'm assuming, are you doing recruitment marketing for him as well, or is it really business marketing?
We're really just starting off. We're just doing content marketing at the beginning now. So what I try and do is I research what questions people are asking on the internet related to the services that Jeff and Kokua provide. And we answer those questions. So it's very much marketing in the form of education and really keeping top of mind. That's what we're doing for him initially.
From your marketing perspective, where does Kokua fall in terms of competing with these large MSP outsourcing companies? I don't know what your revenue is, and if you're a privately held company, we don't want to reveal that unless you want to. But there are these very large multi-million, if not billion, outsourcing IT companies, MSP companies, and then there's Kokua. So how do you compete with that?
It's all about building relationships. It's about offering what people are looking to read about and resonating with them and offering them value. So it's really the approach of offering value, education, giving them what they want, and that's what Kokua is about, and that's what really I'm about. It's about offering education and helping people and helping them figure out, I suppose, giving them the best decision-making facility to figure out what technology they need to help their business scale and going from there. And everything really happens organically from there. It's about building up reviews, and Jeff has done a wonderful job even before I came on board of building up fantastic reviews. He's built up incredible relationships. He's built up a massive organic referral system since the very beginning of his company. So he's making my job incredibly easy to market him.
So in terms of business plans, so you know the space that you're in is huge, and you said 27 installs across the country. Is that right?
We have hardware in 27 states, yeah, and it's growing right now. There's stuff that's happening going into the end of this year that'll open up additional states for us, because more and more people are hearing about us and finding out about us. You know, this whole internet thing. We have a lot of clients in Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New York. My guys, you know, when we do need to go on site, that's where we run most of the time. But now with the ability to have boots on the ground anywhere, it's very easy for us to take over somebody's infrastructure anywhere in the country and eventually anywhere in the world. It's the way that we do it is the reason that people want to work with us, not that we do technology. And as far as competition, I don't know that I have any. I don't know other companies that are doing it the way that I am. And it's very relationship based. So companies are connecting with us for more than just technology. They want everything to just work. They don't want to have to worry about it. They want to see value in what we do. They don't want to overpay, and they don't want to be taken advantage of. So we come into a space where most MSPs will say, here's your all-in price. You know, pay me this every single month and everything is done. And we come in and we say, well, if you just need a project, well, we'll do that. Or if you just need, you know, something fixed and then for us to go away, well, we'll do that. If you have your own internal IT, but they can't do the really big stuff, well, we'll do the big stuff and then we'll hand it back over to them. So we don't need to take over absolutely everything, in which case we come in a more friendly approach, and we make those kind of relationships, and then we hold on to them for a really long time.
Because you deliver.
Yeah, we're doing an optometrist right now in Roxborough, PA, and I met him in 1989. So I started doing work with him 31 years ago. He's moving into a new space right now. We're doing the wiring. We're doing his wireless install. We're doing the security cameras. We're hanging the TVs up for him, and we're doing the sound system. So it's everything, and we're also helping him transition to his 30-year-old daughter who's taking over the company.
Mhm.
And to think that she was born a year after I met him just blows my mind.
That's something. So your generations now, you've got
Yeah.
customers within the generations. That's very cool. Gosh, look at all the marketing material you have, Vikki.
I know, it's amazing.
I'm drooling like as a
I'm
salesperson.
loving this.
This isn't even hard to sell.
I know. He makes it easy, Lee. He makes it easy.
Very, very easy. So what that tells me is that you've got flexibility, you've got scalability, and you're no threat.
That's true. We walk into places and we say, look, if you're paying $100 for it, we're not going to say we'll do it for 90. That's not how we operate. We've gone into places where we say, don't tell us. Don't tell us what you're paying. Don't tell us anything. Tell us what you want to do, and we'll build a proposal, and then let's take a look at that. The co-founder of Arizona Iced Tea, John Farolito, we do a couple of his companies. One of his companies, there was a bid that went out for a server refresh, and the software they were using was from a company out in California. So I called the California company. I said, give me the specs on the software. I'm doing a server refresh for a company. And the guy said, oh, are you taking care of due process? And I said, yeah. He said, you want a copy of the other guy's bid? And I said, sure. So I get a copy of it and I see the bid's for 225 grand. And I take a look at the bid. And when I put my bid in, I went up to the location. I did the research. I took care of, making sure I knew everything that they needed. When I called Carolyn down in Florida to see how I was doing with the bid process, she told me I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And I said, Carolyn, what do you mean? I'm putting my bid in for exactly what you need. She goes, the first bid is for 225 grand. She says, yours is coming in under 100. It can't be possible. And I said, Carolyn, the first bid has floor to ceiling poles, which are beautiful for a server closet that you don't have. and they're selling you blade servers. And if you make a server really thin, it's 2.5 times the cost of if you just put it on the shelf, which is where yours are right now, Carolyn. And you don't need 5, you need 3. So I don't know what the other guy is trying to sell you, but it's way over the top of what not you could use, but what you need. It doesn't make sense. So I've been doing their work for about 15 years now.
Isn't that amazing? You bring out a good point. So for those of us who are solopreneurs, owners of small businesses, or just starting out, the integrity that you bring with this is really important, but also the business acumen. One of the things that I learned years ago is that companies, buying decision makers, economic buyers, get very concerned, like you experienced, if the rate is so much lower than everybody else's. They start doubting the quality. They start doubting all these things. So now what our own industry has done by shooting itself in the foot is either going too low or too high. And what the customer really wants is just reasonable. That's all they want.
Yeah. I sit in a place where fair is a really big word around here. It has to be fair. It has to be fair. It has to be right. The relationship matters a great deal. And we don't do anything that's short-sighted. And there are no clients that are better than others because we do residential. So if they're, the solopreneur, if you're one person, one computer, you have one issue, you need us for an hour, you're our client.
That's amazing. And they can do that through Home Advisor too. I mean, there's many ways to get a hold of you. Do you provide solopreneurs or small businesses with, as needed capabilities as well? Just, nothing, no long-term contract, just as needed?
no contract at all. We have a very high-end piece of software that for the people that want the continuing relationship with us, we put the software on all the computers, and what it does is it monitors the health of the system. So if the computer hiccups, it opens a ticket in our system, and a ticket can't be dropped. So once a month, these people, they get a report on the health of their system for all of the hiccups that the system has had. For any major issue, they call us up, we remote in, we fix the issue, and then they're on their way. So we still do hourly support.
That's nice.
If I wanted $1 million, it's so much easier to do $1 worth of support for 1 million people and have them truly see value in that than it is to find one company that you can get your $1 million from and then fear what happens if that company goes away.
Okay, you just took the last question out of my head. I'm like, what's your business strategy? So that to me sounds like the foundation of your strategy. It's not necessarily the volume of the contract, it's the long-term relationship and seeing the value in what you deliver. That sounds like the foundation. Is that right?
It is. It is. And we love small and mid-sized companies that don't believe that they could get this quality of IT help. I look for people that feel like they're being taken advantage of. I look for people that don't see value in who they're working with. But if they have a good relationship, that's not for me to take over. And, going back to the size of things, we took a 60 location company and we moved all 60 locations to the cloud. It was a $1.2 million project. And I will tell you, it wasn't nearly as much fun as a 4-person law firm in Philadelphia, only to find out nobody wanted to do the work for this guy because he was so small. But he owns a whole bunch of commercial real estate properties. So we just did a large security camera install for one of his shopping malls. And everybody looked at him as, a small law firm. And I look at him and go, well, if you're only 4 people, there are other people that are doing what you don't do. So if we are good to you, introduce me to all those other people. That's who I want to work for.
Jeff, that's a very different business model, a very different mindset. So we've got about 3 minutes left on the clock. That's how fast this goes. Are you looking to scale and get bigger? Are you looking to, what's your goal here?
I got the company way back when to a point where I was working Tuesday and Thursday. The work week, it's fun to me. This is fun. My boat's still in the water right now, and it snowed the other day. So I'm incredibly blessed with the flexibility of having the time and doing, what I want when I want. But I really like being helpful. So as far as scaling, it's going to go to what people need. In the last 5 weeks, I've hired 4 people. And the 4th one is starting on January 11th.
Is that because of contract business or expansion in an existing account?
It's existing accounts. I take a look at all the guys and I see the number of hours they're working. And when their hours creep up, I want to add more people so that, I'm very big into family, very big into work-life balance. I don't want these guys working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. I want them enjoying their lives, and they stay with me. My senior guy has been with me for 10 years now, and he's a genius, and he's like a son to me. So, that relationship matters as well. The people that work here, they work with me. They don't work for me, and I've always told them, I'm completely okay being wrong. Show me. So if you've got a better idea, I'm flexible. I'm not the guy who says, this is my way, this is the way we're going to do it. I say, things have changed. What are your thoughts? What do we add? What should we change about?
This is like a master class in leadership. this 30 minutes, and I want to keep doing more of this. So, Vikki, from a marketing standpoint, yeah, you're going to slice and dice and use this content all over Zoom. But what is, as a marketer, from all that you've heard Jeff say, what are the things that stuck out in your mind? Because that's what needs to stick out in people who are launching businesses, creating new ideas, going to market, et cetera, et cetera. What stuck out in your mind?
Building relationships, building trust, and looking after your team, looking after the people that work with you, as Jeff said. People don't work for him, they work with him. So taking care of those around you, and they'll take care of you. But it's really about building relationships. It's key, especially now with COVID and all of the stuff going on. It's no longer sell. It's really about, and especially from an MSP point of view, you need to know, like, and trust that person that is coming into your home or your office. So relationships is key.
Yeah, it's that word of mouth. So
yeah.
You don't spend as much money on sales as you do just getting the word out of the people who are already talking about you. Well, I have to tell you, Jeff, my takeaways are this. Number one, know the kind of customer that you want to support and be very clear on that. I don't think that you have a problem walking away from opportunities, right? I believe that.
That's true.
Is that true?
Yes, it is.
I would also say that there is a level of fearlessness in being able to say, no, I don't want to support that, right? So that, and yes, this is what I want to go after, and this is why. And I think at the foundation of everything, the reason that scaling sounds to be a little bit easier for you than most entrepreneurs that I've spoke with, that there isn't this, multi-billion-dollar goal at the end of your tunnel. Your goal is to just keep the word spreading so that your business grows, and then you scale accordingly. I mean, it just sounds very simple to me. Do you have economic goals or financial goals that go along with that?
I very specifically do not. I do nothing for money. We walk into places where people don't understand the stuff that we do, and we make it work. And because we make it work and we make it easy, they like us. And because they like us and we get to do the work, well, they pay for the work. But the money is secondary. If all you're shooting for is a number, but you're not bringing anything that says you deserve that number, or, what's the quality of work behind, hitting that number? The number is meaningless to me. All of my guys do really well. And at the end, then so do I. But in the beginning of building it, I made sure that all of them did well. And I was eating leftovers. I was eating rice and beans. I was doing what I needed to make sure that my team did well. That kind of support matters to me. That's family. That's sitting at the top and making sure everybody else is taken care of.
And in the end, everybody is. And then the last thing, I'm now 3 minutes over, I'm sorry about that. But the last thing that I also noticed was the humility and the focus on being of service. And I think those two go hand in hand, because it doesn't always mean that you're going to get that $1.2 million contract, but you're humble enough and willing to help anybody who needs it, even if it's a one-person shop. So, is that correct?
I installed a printer for Ron Ravitz locally here, and one guy
installed a printer.
One guy, one printer. He went to a shop and said, "I need somebody to install a printer," and somebody said, "You should call Jeff. He'll do it for you." I went over there. His family owns a bunch of ShopRites. They're a multi-million-dollar family. He is incredibly humble. He's an incredibly wonderful person. They're very big in the community, and they're very giving. We also, Kokua is rather philanthropic, but I don't put it out there as a sales tool, and I don't care, what people think of it, because it makes me feel good. So you never know who you're going to meet. So on the one person, one printer, here's a guy that told me about 5 generations of his family and how his family created it and how they're passing it down. And then he said, and hey, by the way, we've got an office in Cherry Hill. Do you want to take a look at that?
That's
I said,
amazing.
sure.
All right. Well, this has been a Christmas gift for anybody within the position of starting or trying to grow your business. And I can't thank you enough. Mira, it says, I really love the integrity. And I think that's the core. I really do believe that that's the core. And that drives everything else, the ethics, the integrity, and the energy that you present. So like attracts like, right? So it sounds to me like you attract a lot of people who are of like minds in business and otherwise. So thank you both for joining us. Thank you all for joining us on this Live with Lee broadcast. This might be our last one before the holidays. Maybe not. We'll see. But have a wonderful holiday if I don't see you or until after the new year. And again, thanks to my guests, Jeff and Vikki, for joining us today on a very insightful entrepreneur level conversation. Thanks so much. I'm going to ask us to hang on for a second.